Well, well, well. What do we have here? A few viewers? Interesting. Are y'all saints or sinners?
Don't cry. It's all better now.
Yes, I lied to you.
So in a very recent attempt to engage with my lovelies, and since it was my birthday weekend and feeling a little extra nice, I asked y'all if you wanted a spoiler review of Sinners or a spoiler-free review of Sinners, and the people chose... spoilers! So here I am to deliver. I may put my future reviews to a vote more regularly. Who knows? Before getting into the spoilers, I thought I'd say a few things. First, there is a mid-credits scene and an end-credits scene. The end-of-credits scene is just a few lines of singing, nothing special. The mid-credits scene is important. Overall, I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10. Most things about this movie are great, though the main premise of this movie is that some people are so musically talented that they can pierce the veil of the living and the dead. Okay, good so far. But then they say that they can summon spirits from the past and from the future.
Don't do that!
You know what my favorite thing about period piece movies is? The fact that they aren't in a modern setting. This happens twice in the movie, and both times it's a serious disservice. If you take those parts out, especially that part in the end, this movie would be a 9 out of 10. But enough of the weak, non-spoiler shit. Let's spoil this puppy. The movie starts off setting the premise. There are some people whose gift of music is so true that they can conjure spirits from the past and the future. This gift can bring fame and fortune, but it can also pierce the veil of life and death. In Mississippi 1932, we see a bloodied and beaten young man travel to a little church. Even has a broken guitar handle in his hand. He opens the doors of the church and an audience member screams, "Sammy!" The preacher embraces him. He asks him to abandon his sinful ways and come unto him. He has to let go of the guitar. Meanwhile, we get flashes of monsters and violence that do a pretty good job at shocking us, the audience, of what he has been through. Cut to black. One day earlier.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again.
Man, I hate these cheap-ass intros. But maybe this will be like Last Voyage of the Demeter and surprise me a bit. It's not going to, but we can lie to ourselves and say this movie didn't just ruin the ending of the story with the first 2 minutes, and think that it still has plenty of surprises left in store for us. Let us continue with the false hope. Now, we meet our main characters, Smoke and Stack, played by Michael B. Jordan. Welcome to the horror club, my friend. Unless you count Chronicle, this is his first horror thriller, and I am all for pretty famous actors lending their talents to the horror community. We may not be bringing in the big bucks, but damn do we love ya, and keep loving ya.
Forever and ever and ever.
So Smoke, in the blue hat, and Stack, in the red hat, are fixing to buy a barn and the land around it to host some nightclub-type business. They buy it from a man and tell him that if any one of his people or any clansmen step foot on their property, they will shoot on sight. The man chuckles. Hey, there ain't no clan no more. Sure, buddy. He takes their money because they got plenty of it, and he goes on his merry way. We jump to our young guy Sammy, who is played by Miles Caton, or Catton, I don't know. And this is not only his first horror movie role, but this is his first film role. Welcome to the club, yada yada yada, your saw trap is in the mail. Moving on, he is helping his dad, the pastor, get ready for tomorrow's sermon. His dad does not like that he is going to be playing for a bunch of drunkards and degens and says that if you dance with the devil may follow you home like a thirsty fat hippie chick. Okay, Maybe he didn't say it like that, but you get what I mean. Sammy gets picked up by Stack, and they go to gather a few key people for their party. Stack picks up a doorman and another musician to play, all old friends. Meanwhile, Smoke picks up some people to supply the food and some decorations. He also makes a pit stop and drops off some flowers at his son's burial site and says hi to his old voodoo practicing wife. They bond a bit, which of course leads to him getting some of that big ol' stanky. Nobody should ever take me seriously. But seriously, them gathering people up for their future business is amazing. All of the lines are good, a bit of humor, violence, camaraderie, reputation rekindling. It got me really into the movie, which helped make up for the distasteful beginning. We jump to a white guy, beat up, blistered, and sizzling in the sun. Maybe he just got out of the sauna.
Fucking idiot.
He's running towards a home and a young couple greet him with a gun. He begs to be invited in. He even entices them with gold. They let him in, and moments later, a few Native Americans knock on their door. The wife greets them with a shotgun, and they ask if she has seen anyone come by recently. She says no, and he prays that she didn't let the man into their house. Some of his companions say the sun is going down and that they should leave. She goes inside and sees her husband dead and on the ground, and our mysterious visitor shows his true form. The husband stands up, already turned, and she screams.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Man, I love vampires. This is the second year in a row that I've had a vampire movie come out near or on my birthday, and here's hoping that this trend continues. A vamp movie every April. Who's with me? Yo! It's nighttime now, and time to party! People are coming in, having a good time, but when one of the patrons pays for his beer with half money, half promise tokens or some cheap local currency, they give black people during those times and in that area. Smoke is pissed and takes Stack and his wife to the back, chewing them out that this is not a charity, this is a business. Stack and the wife are a bit more forgiving and understanding of the kind of customers they have walking in tonight. Smoke caves and the night continues. Sammy starts playing and everyone is getting all riled up, and then he starts belting and the whole place comes down. The roof goes, fire, and spirits come, but no one reacts. I guess this is just for those who are spirits or possibly the dead.
I am your way out.
Like I said, spirits are coming out to play. They're electric guitars. Okay, not sure how I feel about that. More music plays, then a DJ comes out of nowhere. Okay, y'all are starting to lose me here. And then we see some tribal bongos being played, and that's bringing me back. Okay, and then we see some chicks in modern clothes twerking.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
I hate this shit so much. Seriously, this is so out of place, I can't help but feel like Klaus.
What the f am I looking at?
Remember earlier when I said my favorite part about period piece movies is that they aren't in a modern setting? This is why. It doesn't fit. Like, not even a little. Also, this shit doesn't even make sense. Okay, so music calls forth spirits of the past and the present, and we at first see musician spirits playing instruments along with our boy Sammy's music. Okay, yeah, sure, but why the fuck are there chicks twerking? That's objectively not music. Anyways, outside, our villain and his new companions are pulled to the music, and he looks upon the transcendent sight before him and smiles. After Sammy plays, this girl he has a crush on flirts a bit, and then they go into the back room. Oh, did I mention that she's married?
I mean, why?
Yeah, why did they make her out to be a cheater? Like, seriously, this makes her a less likable character, but Sammy, a son of a preacher, doesn't care and he goes to Munchtown, which I see a lot more in media lately. Hey, was there someone in particular who asked for this? Like, why? Moving on. Smoke and Stack are ready to count up the money that they have made thus far. At first, things are looking pretty good, but then Smoke tells Stack how much real money they made, and at this rate, they will be broke in 2 months. Classic business mistake. These guys may have gotten tired of running with the gangsters in Chicago, but when they came back home, they had no idea how little real money they could earn with this business venture. Cue our vamps outside wanting to come in. They got money and will even add their own music to the show. And then they play the most classic white hillbilly song you could ever hear, and at first I thought they were gonna get laughed out of there, but the other people actually really liked the music. But it's not exactly what they're looking for, which was just an excuse to get them to go on their way. Events mixing races back then and around those parts only invites trouble. They get offended and slowly walk off. Only moments later, Stack and his quarter-black love interest, Mary, talk about bringing them in to see if they have any real money to spend, cause they are desperate. And Mary is played by Haley Steinfeld, and this appears to be her horror debut as well. Damn, lots of people seem to have wanted to lend their talents to this musical vamp horror show, and I am here for it. She goes out and they play her a song. They even entice her with gold, but our main vamp, Remick, who is played by Jack O'Connell, who played the biggest piece of shit in Eden Lake, can't keep his eyes normal and fangs hidden, which is the vamp equivalent of keeping your dick in your pants, scares her off. And as she storms off, we see Remick float towards her. Ah, I love my vamps with powers. By the way, normally I would show a clip from Eden Lake because I brought it up, but honestly, fuck that movie. It seriously riled me up so bad when I watched it. I don't want to show any clips from there because it will just make you want to punch the screen. I believe this is the 1 hour mark of the movie with plenty of runtime left, and shit starts moving real fast. Our girl gets invited back into the barn, and her and Stack go to a private room to bang out their frustrations, and she then quickly bites him. Smoke breaks down the door and sees Stack bleeding out, so he guns Mary down, but then she jumps back up and runs on out of there. They then dismiss everybody to go home. That was my first thought, and I try to write down these breakdowns with my thoughts as the scenes were happening, but don't worry. They do make up for this. The only people that stay are Smoke, his wife, Sammy, his love interest, the Asian couple, and the harmonica guy. The Asian husband goes to get the car for them to all leave and be with their daughter. Stack wakes up and busts out of the place and attacks, but runs away after Smoke's wife throws a jar of garlic at him. It burns his face and he runs away. Since she is a voodoo dark magic expert, she tells us the ways to kill a vamp. Just the classic garlic, silver, stake in the heart, and the sun. Oh, and they have to be invited in. We then see the Asian husband return to the front of the barn and entice his wife to let him back in, and the camera zooms out, and everyone who was at the party was turned.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
The vamps sing for a bit of fun, and then they try to get everyone to invite them in again. They even try selling the survivors on the idea of becoming a vamp, that this is their way out of their hard lives. The guy who sold them the place was actually the Grand Wizard of the KKK, and he was going to kill the twins the next morning. Remick knows this because the young couple that he turned at first were actually related to him. A unique thing about these vamps is that Remick gets all of their memories and their knowledge when they turn, and since he turned to the Asian husband, he speaks fluent Chinese. He even makes a deal that they will leave them all alone if they just give up Sammy. Sammy's talent can get Remick either back to where he came from or reunite him with others like himself. I'm not sure, it's only brought up once in a throwaway line. I'll go deeper into this later. After the carrot doesn't entice the survivors to let them in, Remick tries the stick and says that they are going to visit the Asian wife's daughter, so she gets pissed and gives a massive invite to all the vamps to fucking bring it. Everybody gets ready and the vamps charge in and tackle and eat people that the writers pulled out of their ass to make this a better scene. This was so poorly thought out, but I'll return to this part after. Stack bites Smoke's old wife, and she begs Smoke to stake her, and he does. The vamps retreat, fuck knows why, then come back and the harmonica guy gets bit, the cheating whore wife love interest of Sammy gets bitten, Smoke and Stack have a one-on-one fight while Sammy gets like a second to run away. The Asian wife burns as she stakes someone. It might have been her husband, I don't recall. Remick catches up to Sammy almost immediately and messes him up a little, and of course Sammy then uses his gifted guitar to stake Remick, and as Remick's body erupts into a fiery tower, the sun comes up and burns away the rest of the vamps. Sammy and Smoke give each other a few final words and then part ways. Smoke sticks around for some final cleaning up. He busts out his old war guns when the KKK members come back in the morning to clear out the barn. Ah, so Remick was telling the truth. Smoke gets shot and bleeds out, and his final scene is seeing his passed-on wife and their lost son together. We return back to the beginning of the movie, and Sammy's pastor dad tells him to abandon the music, abandon the wickedness. But Sammy can't, and he drives off with the remains of the guitar. I don't really get this part, but I'll get back to that later. We then get a mid-credits scene and time jump to the 90s, and Sammy is much older and he's playing music. After a show, Stack and his love interest appear in some very stereotypical 90s costumes. Yeah, they really look that bad. Stax explains that he made a deal with Smoke to not take Sammy unless he wanted to turn, so Stack offers him vampirism to keep on playing. Sammy turns it down and then plays them a song on his old, restored guitar. After the credits, we see Sammy playing another song as his young self, and the movie cuts to black. The end. Since I liked this movie, I'll start with the negatives and then end on a positive note. First negative. Every scene that dealt with any time period that was post-1930s. There's only two, and I hate both of them equally. The song that called out to the vamps was absolutely ruined by adding the electric guitar, the DJ, and of course the twerkers. What does dancing have to do with music? Yes, people dance when they hear music, but dancing is not a musical talent. Singing and playing an instrument is. So it was just a terrible idea that made a scene that was already going downhill turn into a Tommy Boy. Second, Sammy's love interest being a married woman brings her down, and it's completely unnecessary. Yeah, maybe in some movies like 007 where he sleeps with the wife of some super villain is okay, but it's only kinda okay in those scenarios because she's married to a mass murderer. There is like one throwaway line where Sammy asks if she's happily married and she doesn't respond. Sorry, this didn't need to happen, and it adds no value to the minimal character development she gets in the movie. Third, the barn fight. So, for the previous 20 minutes before the vamps get invited in, we know exactly who's left inside the barn, cause Stack got killed, or thought to have been killed, and then they made everyone else leave. The only people left inside are main characters. There is Smoke, his girl, Sammy, his girl, harmonica guy, and Asian wife. That's it, 6 people. But then when the vamps bust into the place, they immediately leap onto characters and start biting them. The problem with that is that these people never existed before. This was just a poorly planned scene, which is pretty fucking crazy considering it's the big finale of the movie. Well, the more obvious finale of the movie. And they didn't even think it through on how it would actually make sense. This is like them trying to do the big 30 Days of Night fight. But they forgot that you need bodies to pull that off. Fourth, Smoke's climax with the KKK was a weird idea. I mean, yeah, they're a loose end to take care of, but this is not what we came to see the movie for. They didn't even exist throughout the whole movie. We saw the leader one time, and that was when the twins were buying off the barn from him, and that was it. A more fun way for this to pan out would be like everyone except Sammy gets turned, and when the KKK show up, Stack and his girl attack them, and maybe just kill them instead of turning them, and that would actually be a change because literally everybody else in the movie was turned into vamps, never just killed by vamps. The KKK being turned could have been the fun mid-credit scene. Fifth, spoiling the ending at the beginning of the movie, they had us see Sammy walk in the sun and enter into the church. Not only are the writers telling us that Sammy survived, but that he also didn't get turned, and it turns out that's exactly what happened. I gave a pass for them doing this in The Last Voyage of the Demeter because I thought the movie was going to end with the obvious characters surviving, and it really surprised me when they didn't. But here, there are no surprises, and no, Stack and his girl surviving to the 90s doesn't count because I felt nothing, and I guess that would be my 6th complaint. Take that scene out, and the movie would have ended better, but that would mean that the last scene is Sammy driving off, not giving up his music, even though he knows that his talent will call monsters to him.
You serious, Clark?
Yeah, I guess this only really makes sense to me if Sammy no longer sings. Maybe it was the combo of him playing the guitar and singing that calls monsters, so if he just plays the guitar, he would be safe. I don't know, it's pretty crazy that he wouldn't give up music after going through that whole night. Okay, now that's the last of the negativities. Now, I know what you're all thinking.
You bitch!
I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking, or maybe I just didn't like the movie. Not true, I liked it quite a bit. But I'm pretty surprised that both critics and audiences on Rotten Tomatoes put this movie in the 90s. I prefer the IMDb rating of 8.2 out of 10. solid movie. Here is why I think it's solid. The first hour of the 2-hour and 17-minute movie was done amazingly well, which is surprising since it only gave us like one vamp scene. I like all of these characters, I like their relationships, except for the cheating hoe, but I'll just Invader Zim her.
As I was saying.
I also liked the part where Smoke reveals that their business venture will make them go bankrupt in 2 months. Their business idea at its core would never work. I really liked that because it surprised me. Usually you would see that it would be a successful idea if the big bag didn't ruin it all. Or that something internally would have screwed it up before it even really got started. But the idea itself of being an unsuccessful business venture seems new and refreshing to me. I know you can go deeper and say that it was doomed to fail because of the racism of the area, not always paying black people real money, which then cripples how much business people can actually do with black people, at least to a more serious scale. And that is deep. I'm not downplaying that. But sometimes I like to review things on the more surface level and try to not think so hard while I'm at the movies. I am trying to enjoy myself. This movie, when it comes to horror, isn't the scariest movie. It's also not the bloodiest, even though there are violent, blood-sucking monsters in it, but I still really liked the vamps here. I liked their scenes, I liked the music focus, I liked how Remick got all of the memories of everyone he turned, I liked how fast they turned, I liked how they all followed him, I liked his look and style, I liked how smart he was, how violent he was, I liked how the vamps had the classic vamp weaknesses, and yes, it was a bit obvious that Sammy was going to stake Remick with the guitar, but I didn't mind it enough to hate it. I think the scene where Stack's girl says that they will kill every last one of you was an odd line, because they didn't kill anyone. Yes, they turned them into vamps, and I guess that's what makes them dead, but literally everyone who was attacked by a vamp was turned into a vamp. Nobody was food. Kind of begs the question of how or why the Native Americans got Remick on the run when he was introduced. Hell, I'm not one who usually asks for prequels, but if there was a prequel of Remick doing what he did here with a bunch of Native Americans, I'd definitely go and see that movie. What did you all think of Sinners? Have you seen it yet? I'd be surprised if you haven't, and if you haven't, get going. If any movie should be getting your dollars, it's the spooky ones. See y'all soon.